You know, I have to make sure my hair is right. You know what I'm saying? Welcome to the test, ladies and gentlemen. Appreciate you guys stopping by very much. So, I have the round 16 game. Now they're playing Blitz, so they're playing like 10 games a day right now. So you know it's something that's really hard to keep up with. So I'm just kind of picking and choosing games. But I do have the Alireza Firouzja versus Wesley from round 16. As always, for my people in the Philippines, mabuhay to you. Kamusta na? Maraming salamat po sa nanonood inga king my video. Masaya kong makinig muli. Almusal tayo. Ingat lagi. Mabuting pagbati. Everything. For anybody who is coming from Iran or who does speak Farsi, I will say salam to you and khayli mamnoon. Appreciate you guys very much for stopping by, taking a look at my stuff. You know, assalamu alaikum to you if there are any Muslims out there. Appreciate you guys very much. But yes, if you guys are ready to go, and this picture that I got is actually from the tournament. I was able to, you know, kind of locate a couple of pictures. So, you know, this is actually them playing yesterday or the day before. I don't know exactly, but this isn't their game right now. But this is actually a game from them playing at the tournament. So, you know, it's nice. I was able to get an update on the pictures. There wasn't a lot of Alireza Firouzja versus Wesley pictures out there. So it's nice to have an extra one rolling around. So if you guys are ready to go, let's go take a look and see what we have for the game. Now, we do have a different type of a game this time than we have normally. So it's nice to be able to show like a new type of a game. So we got D4, knight comes to F6. I know you guys are thinking like, man, you just said it was going to be different. It is. Bishop to G5. So we have the Trompowsky attack. So, you know, already, you know, we have something kind of like on the side. Now, this does kind of give a little bit to black. This is definitely good for black. But you know, it's not losing by any means. It's just you've definitely taken a you know, like a turn off of the main path, and you're going into some crazier lines. So we got D5, E3. We have C5. Bishop takes F6. Pawn takes F6. So you know, it kind of looks like black is, you know, kind of giving away a lot because, you know, they do have their open G file now. It's going to be kind of hard to castle on that side. Even if it does, it's kind of risky. So you know, we'll see what's cracking. So pawn takes D5, we see knight coming to C6, we see bishop to B5, we see E6, C4. Now, as you guys always know, when I'm showing these type of games and you do have a D4, E3 pawn type of setup going, you know, black is always going to play C5, right? And so it's the same even when you're on the white side. You guys see that, you know, black has this set up. So, you know, the most logical way to combat that is going to go C4. So C4, C5, F4, F5. You guys are getting the picture. So we see pawn takes C4, knight to D2, bishop takes C5. We see knight G to F3. We got C3. Because, I mean, what you're looking at in this position is the pawn is going to be lost. Like, there's not a way for you to protect the pawn. So why not, like, strap white with somewhat of a weakness, you know, right? So, I mean, you know, that's where C3 comes from. So we got pawn takes C3, and as you guys can see, white does kind of have a little bit of damage on their pawn structure. It's not the end of the world at all. But, you know, it's like I said, if you're going to go down swinging, you know, go down grabbing some pieces, or at least, you know, damage the pawn structure, do something, you know, while you're going to go down. So we got castles by black, castles by white. We see F5, and F5 is the novelty of the game. There were 3 other moves, and I'm spacing on the moves, but there were 3 other moves that had been played before in this position. And so we do see F5 for the very first time. We got knight to D4. You know, white is attempting to try to correct their pawn structure. So they're hoping for like knight to take here, and then pawn takes here, and then the bishop has to try to go somewhere. And then you have a nice pretty pawn structure compared to black's, you know, pawn structure, which isn't looking the best. You know, you kind of have this isolated pawn over here. You got these little, you know, doubly pawn scenario situation going on. But the thing you can say about black structure is it does kind of control a lot of the center. So, you know, that's kind of like part of the justification for, you know, going G captures F6, because generally you do want to capture towards the center. It's not always what you have to do, but, you know, capturing towards the center is generally better than capturing away from the center, but not always. As always, you know, there's an exception to every rule, but, you know, we got bishop coming to D7. We see rook to B1. We got rook to c8. We got queen to h5. So it looks like it might be kind of heating up on this king side a little bit, but we do see queen to f6, throwing a nice little defense in there. We got rook f to d1. We got queen to g6. So you have to ponder, like, you know, do you want to do a queen trade? And naturally, if you do a queen trade, you know, you're going to be looking at pawn takes here, and then black has fixed their structure. So as I always say, when you are thinking about going into trades, think about what you were giving your opponent when you do trade, because you don't want to give your opponent so much that they end up winning the game. You know, we got queen down to e2, rook f to d8. We see knight 2 to f3, queen comes to f6. We see e4. We see bishop back to b6. Pawn takes f5. We got knight takes d4, pawn takes d4, and then queen takes f5. Now, it was possible to take with the pawn here as well. It does double your pawns, but you know, and it seems like it gives white a pass pawn, but that pawn is easily attacked and easily like stopped. So after bishop takes d7, rook takes d7, d5, we got rook c to d8, and as you guys can see, it's getting pretty hot on this pawn. So it's becoming actually pretty hard to defend it. So it's possibly going to drop. So like I said, we did see queen takes f5, bishop back down to d3, queen comes back to f6, and then we see queen to e4. Why not threaten checkmate? As I always say, whenever you're in a position, if you can threaten checkmate and it's not going to waste the tempo, I mean, why not? You know, your opponent's going to be forced to defend against it. You know, they can't just make some random other move. Well, I guess in this position, it's not checkmate, but it is going to be losing the pawn at least. And then you're probably going to be getting your knight up here, and it's going to look kind of, you know, it's going to look kind of iffy. A rook lift can come. It's looking bad. So, but anyway, we do see h6, and we have queen to g4 with check. Now, in this position, it might look like you got a tasty pawn up here for white, but unfortunately, you know, going pawn grubbing, as Cebuano would say, would end up, sorry, I hit the wrong button here. What actually, after queen takes b7, you're going to be looking at bishop to c6. Queen's going to have to come to a6. And you guys can see that you guys have a lot of problems on these diagonals. And this knight is looking pretty unhappy. The bishop is going to take, and you got queen taken. The king just needs this kind of step kind of out of the way. And then you're going to be having a rook come over in this open file. And that's not what you want. So queen to g4 is a nice check. Moves the queen back to g7. We see queen to h4. White still is not interested in trading. Bishop comes to a4. So you're trying to, like, you know, maximize your use of these bishops because you do have the bishop pair. So why not harass a rook? Rook comes to e1. We see bishop takes d4, rook takes e4. And then we see a really, really nice in-between move here because it does kind of look like, man, you know, he's kind of getting my bishop here. Like, you know, I went, you know, grabbing for a pawn, and now one of my bishops is dropping. This isn't where I wanted to be, but Wesley So finds a really, really nice Zwischenzug move, which is bishop to f6. And now, unfortunately, you're putting a nice attack on this queen. And so you don't have time to grab this bishop yet. And it also moves this bishop out of the way. So this is like perfectly timed. So now you're looking at queen coming to h3. So rook takes d3. And we actually see rook to g4, which seems like it's pinning the queen to the king. But in this position, bishop does have the ability to cover. And there's something else that more importantly happens with this move. And I'll be mentioning it here in a minute. But when we back up, after rook takes d3, it was actually much better to take just immediately with rook takes a4, because this is going to be, you know, an artificial threat. It's going to be something that's easily defended against. So after after we saw rook to g4, we saw bishop to g5, and then we saw rook to a4. And we have actually reached a point in the game that if you do want to stop the video and find like the craziest crushing move for black, go ahead and do so right now. Okay, cool. So I feel like maybe some people might get it. It's a deflection tactic. As you guys notice, this rook is the piece that's holding down this entire back rank, right? And basically is preventing the king from being back rank mated. You know, you had the ability to drop this rook or this rook down on this rank. And then this knight would have to throw itself in the way to prevent checkmate, but it's not going to matter because it's going to happen anyway. So for those of you guys that found queen to b2, This is nasty. This is just like, I mean, this is bad because you're like literally throwing your queen away, but you're going to be getting checkmate, which as you guys know is the ultimate goal. So this is like the perfect like in your face move. And it's literally something I do all the time. It is always such a nice thing to do, to put like your queen in right in front of a rook and then have somebody come to the realization that they cannot capture your queen. And they're like, oh man, I'm in back rank. And so like, they're just like bad. It's screwed up. And I hate when it's done to me. Like, I mean, I try to make sure I don't get it done, but sometimes I do fall for it. And I'm like, crap, I'm back rank made it coming up. So this is really, really bad to be looking at as white. So if you found queen to b2, congratulations. You are a really nice tactical tactician, I guess I can say. But we do see rook coming back to f1. It's probably the safest move to make because, you know, you are defending this point. And, you know, you're going to be seeing some penetration coming here with rook to c2. So just rook to f1 is just overprotecting. So we see rook coming down to c1. You know, this is this is just, you're getting sad, you know, as white, because like, you know, black is just like literally just like pushing away at, you know, trying to, you know, put you down. You know, they're trying to be not nice. So we got g4 now giving the king some luft. And then we see rook takes f1 with check. King takes f1. And then we do see queen to b5. And it is in actually this position that Alireza Firouzja does resign the game. Because you are looking at a really, really nasty discovery once this rook moves somewhere. This rook is undefended. So you're going to be winning at least a rook in the situation. So that is too much to bear. So if we back up, like I said before, and after we saw rook took d3, the important move to make in this position is actually rook takes a4 immediately, because like once you do check on g4, the problem with this calculation is the fact that this bishop is able to move in the way and it is able to clear this diagonal for the queen. So that's the crucial move. It's a defensive plus like an offensive move that Wesley so is able to make. And if you do go rook takes a4, as you guys can see, this bishop is in the way of this queen. So now this queen to b2 tactic is not available. So that's the main issue with, you know, taking that tempo to check or taking that tempo to try to pin the queen, because it actually helps black's position considerably. So I mean, it's still losing. I mean, you're still down a pawn, and you know you got a lot of heat going on your king side and stuff like that. So it's still a bad position, but it's just not nowhere near as bad as the position that, you know, Firouzja found himself in. So that was a really interesting game. So for all of my people in the Philippines, I got these languages for you, and I think I can get through all of them without looking at my sheet. Let me see. All right, so maanyong buntag. Maya na agahan, nainbag na bigat, masanto siya kabosan, marhe na aga, buenos dias, mayad na aga, or no, maanyong aga. Man. I think it's Mayap Abak. Okay, I'm really fumbling through these. I'm really nine bag not be guys. Maanyong buntag. Okay, this is actually pretty bad. Let me just try to restart this, man. All right, so maanyong buntag, mayad na agahan, nine bag na bigat, masento sa kabasan, marhe na aga. Yes. Buenos dias. Maanyong aga. Mayapa abak. Mayad na aga. And then I forgot mapia na uma kapian kapano dios. Mapia agay. Mapia kapa pizza. My big abukla. I think it's my big abukla. Maraja na buntag. Yes. Maria Mainat. Maupe na aga. and Kasanyangan C LOB. Okay, so I got them, but I don't know why like the first part of that was like so tough for me to do. So I'm like literally right there. So it's a struggle, man. Whenever, I mean, I love languages, but it is a struggle when you're trying to learn new languages, especially when you're saying words that you don't normally say. You know, phrases, stuff like that. I mean, because, you know, these different languages are not natural to me personally. So it's definitely, you know, a rough road to try to get this stuff hooked up. But I appreciate you guys very much. And Haley Mamnoon for anybody who's coming from Iran, and I'll see y'all next time.